I would have some pictures. I'm not a big fish guy. I just heard that earlier. I work in marketing. Hey guys, sit up front. Get out.
Tess, can you hear me? Can you hear me? All right. All right, are we live?
We're live.
All right, we're live on YouTube, so watch what you say about any of our brands or people. We're at them. So no. Thank you all for being here so much, and thank you for driving. Some of you coming from Ohio, from Maine, from Vermont, so thank you so much. It really it means so much to us to give us this chance. So if I haven't spoke to you personally, I'm Matt Congdon. My dad, Tim, started CADCo in 1984. So been sort of taking over the reins over the last 10 years. So it's been great getting to know all of you, or most of you over that time. So thank you. If you don't know, we are a wholesale, full service distributor for Ferris, SnowX, Stinger, Mean Green, World Lawn, and now Segway. So Segway Navimow. So we've been dealing with Segway Navimow for about the last 6 months. Getting extremely excited thanks to some of the super passionate dealers and just the awesome, products that they have available. So thank you for making the trip. All right. Well, thank you. So to be honest, I was a little skeptical of this side of the business. We've seen different entries kind of come and go. We've all had different experiences with whether it's a Roomba or a knockoff $100 Roomba that your wife bought on Amazon. Your experience with the robotics could have been positive or negative. But what we've seen with some of the advancements in the technology, this really is here to stay. And the products are just increasing in their productivity, their capability, and what you're buying for the money is just getting, impossible to ignore. So I really do see this as the industry is shifting, especially for different types of applications. So I hope we can answer a ton of your questions today and show you why we think this is where it's going. So I think we are sort of there now. And that's why I wanted to have everybody in so we can share it now versus share with you, when everyone is a little less busy. So anyways, what we're going to do next is I'll go over a few housekeeping things. First, we're going to have Andrew come up and talk. Andrew is with Segway. He's been in the robotic mowing game for a number of years. He's going to give a little update on the industry and the company to give you some insights. And then I'm going to sit up here with two dealers that have been extremely successful thus far with robotics, give them some softball questions, and then I'll open it up for any questions that you have with them as well. So you'll notice we got a bunch of swag and different things at your tables. Something that Tamara printed out for everybody, just a little bit of a checklist. So I think you should all have this, right, Tamara? Okay. So just an idea of things to learn or things to think about as you go throughout the day. Just sort of a mental checklist. You don't have to go through this. There's no one's checking you. Just some ideas about, hey, how do I learn everything that we're offering and etc. So that's good. You'll also notice there's some raffle tickets. We have some giveaways that we'll be giving away. Yeti cooler, some fishing gear, some other stuff up front. So put in a ticket, save a ticket, and put in a ticket of those in the buckets there. We'll be giving those out throughout the day. And then everyone, when you signed in with Kristen, we're going to give away an X430, this mower here, at the end of the day. So that should be, so stick around, must be present to win. So we'll try to do that before everyone is getting ready to leave. And then also tonight, if you're staying over or just hanging out, we have a suite at the Iron Pigs outside Allentown. So it's like 20-minute drive, food and drink, everything's included. So if you're coming to that, please make sure to see Jeff. He has all the tickets. He's in the back, our service manager, and we will get you squared away with that. So we'd love to see you out there for that if you want to attend. If not, I understand as well. So with that, any other housekeeping things that we need to go over? I think that's pretty much, yeah. Oh, yeah, just silence your cell phones for now. As we get outside, we have, you'll see the Wi-Fi and app QR codes. So as we get outside, you'll want to download the app so you can kind of learn and experience the machines. It's kind of critical. So that'd be good to have if you don't. So from there, I'll turn it over to Andrew, who is going to give us our first sort of update here. So thank you.
Okay, how we doing, guys? Do I need to use this microphone? Oh yeah. Fire away, please. Ignore that. Ignore it. My name is Andrew. I've been with Segway Navimow for, I think, about 8 weeks now. But as Matt mentioned, I've been in the industry for about 2.5 years now. I had a commercial landscaping company in Columbus, Ohio for about 10 years. So, you know, I've basically been cutting grass since I was about 5 years old. And then I did quite a few years with doing event marketing in the electric vehicle automotive space. So kind of a new technology. So mowing grass with robots kind of, you know, brings together those two worlds for me, something that's brand new for people out there. And I get to cut grass and I get to work with landscapers, schools, municipalities, all that stuff. So yeah, this is Sarah. I'm going to put her on the spot. This is Sarah Hill right here. She's with Segway Navimow too. She came in from New Hampshire last night, got here at like 2:30 in the morning. So we got to give her a round of applause. Yeah, but we're super happy to be here and support. I mean, I'm pretty floored at the investment that CADCo has put into, you know, setting this all up for, you know, their existing dealers and new dealers. So we're happy to be here to support them so they can support you guys. What I tried to do is just to put together a little bit of a slideshow on, you know, how I see the robotic mowing world right now, you know, a little bit of a brief history of it and kind of where some opportunities are for robotic mowing. This is, please feel free to jump in, participate. You got questions, anything like that, fire away. If you see something that's totally wrong, call me out. All right, so next slide. Okay, so I found this on the internet the other day. I feel like this was a a good way to start. So this is the Mowbot all the way from 1969. It was from North Carolina, invented by a gentleman named Lawrence Bellinger. It weighed 125 pounds, and it actually did use a boundary wire that was installed. I think it ended up being a little bit too expensive, and it was a bit more of a progressive technology, so it didn't really take off. But yeah, that's the world's first truly automatic mower. Next slide. All right. And then, I don't know if some of you have been doing this for a while, but back in 95, Husqvarna launched their solar mower. This was a boundary mower. Anybody seen one of these? All right. Nobody. Cool. All right. Yeah, this thing was pretty good, but it was a kind of an introduction to robotic mowing for the world. It didn't take off, but it took quite a few years to get in some different products and things like that. But this was installed with a boundary wire also. It would charge up, run for a little bit, and kind of do its thing. All right, next slide. So who here has installed boundary wires? Yeah. Do you love them? Yeah. So really, that's where the industry has been since 95. You would essentially install a dog fence wire around whatever perimeter that you wanted to mow. The mower would just be let loose, and similar to the Vroomba, it would just bounce off totally random patterns and eventually get cut at some point, but you didn't have any straight lines, no stripes or anything like that. A lot of people ended up using these trenchers right in here to put in the dog fence wire. It did its thing for quite a few years. How many constant service calls were you doing to patch up the wires, right? Yeah, all the time. So people would hit them with their aerators. They'd go in to fix the irrigation systems, all that. So it was constantly, you were having to replace the wires. But honestly, they lasted for, over 20 years, and it was a solution. All right, next slide. So you fast forward. Now we actually have local reference stations that you can put at the properties, or you can use what's called network RTK. So really being able to totally get rid of the boundary wire has been one of the biggest leaps for the industry, I would say. Next slide. And then here is just a quick slide. This kind of shows you basically the market. So, if you've been doing this for a little bit, or you're just now starting to follow it, Europe has been in robotics, since the late 90s, and it's kind of just been making a steady incline towards sales. The US, still very, very new. Even though we launched here in the early 2000s, we really haven't seen much adoption until, 2021, 2022 or so. And just going off the OPI shipments, basically in 2025, it's projected that we had about 65,000 sales across all brands in robotics for 2025. Now, if you look at this, it's kind of the hockey stick moment is basically 2024, 25, and then projection all the way up to 2028. We're basically going to see lots and lots of mass adoption. All right, next one. And just as far as the industry as a whole, in 2023, as far as the entire world, you've got about 2.27 billion in 23, and they're projected to be, just under 5.5 billion by 2031. The US in 2021 was valued at around 350, and just, in the next year and a half or so, when we get to 2027, we're thinking all the way up over 700 million. Really, Europe and the US hold most of the market share in the entire world, essentially, right now. All right, next one. And the big reasons why we're starting to see so much more adoption is the things like the NRTK, social media. As soon as you open up your phone and you put anything robotic mowing on your phone, it's everywhere. The app-based control. So the technology is very, very simple to actually install yourself. Very low maintenance and serviceability. Everybody is starting to notice, using robotic mowers, how healthy your lawn actually gets. very adaptive to the yard terrain. And then switching from the boundary wire where it was just random, now we can actually have precision with RTK. So now you're getting beautiful, nice stripes like you all see out front here. All right, next one. With these next few slides, I'm just going to show you some examples of opportunities for autonomous mowing. So obviously on the residential side, that's 75% of the grass here in the US. And Segway Navimow has a huge lineup to do all the way from residential all the way up into commercial too. So the biggest opportunity right now is just basically all the homeowners are out there. Okay, go ahead. To me, I think an opportunity once you start to get out of residential is golf courses. So wide open green rectangles. We've got about 16,000 US courses just here in the United States. 1.5 million acres to mow. The big challenge that I hear from a lot of golf courses is a new rough mower right now is about $100,000. So very, very expensive. What's that?
You gotta pay someone to drive it.
Yeah, you got to pay somebody to sit in the seat, and it's expensive. So yeah, where I see success at golf courses is probably starting out on the roughs. So the fairways are a whole nother animal, but a lot of golf courses has started to experiment with automating the roughs. That's kind of the low-hanging fruit for automation. Very easy. Get a couple of machines in there, start to automate the roughs. The guys can then concentrate more on the fairways and the greens and so on. And then everybody's facing obviously labor shortages, so it helps them to reallocate the crew to more of the detail work at the golf courses. All right, we're on to the next one. Sports fields to me are another really, really big opportunity. Does anybody take care of sports fields in here or have customers? There we go. We got one. All right, great. So you got about 700,000 fields here. It represents about 2% of the turf here. Again, sports fields are the most ideal. Wide open green rectangles, no keep out zones. A lot of times what happens with sports fields is they're being used all day. So you can't really cut them at day. Nobody can get on them. So a lot of the mowing needs to be done the last couple hours or very early in the morning. With robotic mowers, you can essentially fully automate that, cut them overnight, cut them more often, and get better turf quality out of it. So a really big opportunity. So me coming from a commercial landscaper's background, I think the biggest opportunity is with commercial landscapers. I was really surprised. I had a conversation with a commercial landscaper in the DC, Maryland area. And he told me that he had 3 guys on his crew and he was trying to hire another one. And he had an ad out there for $23 an hour. It had benefits and 401k. And he said that he was still getting a hard time to actually find people to fill those positions. So to me, that lets me know that, you know, the labor is definitely their biggest issue in the commercial landscaping business. There's about 600,000 firms that represent that segment, and that's over $100 billion of industry right there. You know, and basically mowing is the lowest hanging fruit for landscapers. It's their segue into getting actually getting the maintenance contract. If you've been, I know several of you have mentioned you were at the Equip show this year. If you've been to that show, I've been there now 3 years, and I would say the first year automation was a pretty hot topic. The second year, and then last year, everybody was talking about autonomous mowers. So it's a huge pain point for them. The nice thing is now with robotic mowers, they are able to run their crews much more leaner. So you've got crews that are 4 or 5 guys, those can shrink down to 2 or 3 guys. Super quiet, always maintain properties. Yeah, so I see a tremendous opportunity with commercial landscapers. What you're starting to see with a lot of the bigger firms that have the extra resources is they're starting to allocate money in certain regional areas to then be able to dabble in autonomous mowing. And they're trying every brand, every size that they can get. And whatever works, they will eventually start to deploy that blueprint all across the country at all of their branches. All right, next one. And these are just some other some other use cases that I think are really good to look at. Parks and municipalities are humongous. Same trend there with everybody else. Labor shortages are the biggest issue. You've got old machines that are outdated. It's a good time to introduce autonomy. Corporate campuses are really big. A lot of times with the corporate campuses, they have green initiatives, things like that. So battery powered equipment, robotic mowers. It's not only, introducing new technology, but also something that's more green. Schools and universities, very similar to corporate campuses, a lot of big opportunity there with labor shortages, crews, all that. Polo fields, I don't know how many polo fields you have around here, but there are some places that have those. Vineyards, I think Mike just did a demo at a vineyard just recently, and it went really well, so big opportunities there. And then industrial. As you can see, I consider this place industrial. Robots run really, really well here. Yeah, next one. So the other thing is, the research is basically proving it with autonomous mowing. So you're cutting it more often. So you're getting thicker cuts. So the clippings are tiny. They drop back into the canopy. You don't have as much thatch. Fewer fertilizing. So there's tons of research out there. You can look up from the Ohio State University. Another one is Dr. Scott McElroy. He is from Auburn University. He is a huge advocate for the industry. They have about 5 different robots that they run down at Auburn University, and they run them basically 9 to 10 months of the year. And they're examining every single aspect of robotic mowing and all of the benefits. So I definitely recommend you guys, if you can follow anybody that's doing research on that, it really helps you when you're starting to talk to some of your homeowners and then also your commercial customers too. Let's see, next one. As far as future stuff, one of the things that's really important is as you start to get more and more robots out there is to being able to track them out there. So there's a lot of really good programs. Segway Navimow has their Navimow fleet. So you'll be able to basically track all of your mowers out there at all the different locations, whether they're commercial, homeowner, to then be able to provide service to them. There's a customer that we have over in Connecticut, Greener. They have come out with a software that integrates very nicely with our product that helps you manage fleet also. So really a lot of good stuff coming out. The nice thing is all of the robots are connected by 4G. So you're always going to get over-the-air updates. It's going to continuously improve all of the time. The AI camera, something new that's starting to come out too, is eventually being able to use the cameras on the front of the machines to examine the health of the turf. And that would be then integrated back to the app. As far as open API, that could go to maybe your fertilizing company, or even just for residential or commercial purposes, that would let people understand what their fertilizing needs to be in certain areas at the property. So a lot of potential there. And again, open API, we were talking about that with the security company. There's all sorts of different companies out there, whether it's irrigation, scheduling, whatever it is opening up the API so that these robotic mowers can integrate with all of the technology that we use out there. Let's see, next one. So in my opinion, from what I've seen the last 3 years, is really the dealers are the most important piece of this entire process with robotic mowing. It's as easy as the product is to set up and deploy and track out there. Really, whether it's a residential homeowner or a commercial property, the dealer and the relationship what they have supporting that customer out there is the most important thing. Robots are great, but they're going to misbehave. There's going to be errors. There's going to be challenges and things like that. So really, as the dealers are that connection to be able to help their customers understand, like, hey, where are the best places to use the robots, and where is the place that we just don't do for now? And maybe you use your traditional equipment in those areas for now. So that's super important. And then as far as the service aspect, they're just like any other product out there. They're going to need service. They're going to need, blade changes, wheel motors, all of that kind of stuff. So having a local support from a dealer is very important. Yeah, what's the next one? Well, it kind of reiterates the fact that dealers are the recipe. And at this point, we're still building, adoption within the industry. So all of you dealers are going to be basically the people that are putting that information out to the homeowners and the commercial people. That's really all I got. Kind of went through it quick. Yeah.
I know you've been with them a short time. My question, just what I've seen over the last 8 weeks, I see the tires are changing. You're changing your drive tires. Do you see that? Is that innovation going to continue? I mean, the drive tires are larger, they're more lugs on them, they're different rubber. So it looks like that's becoming a point of, what I want to say is, it's evolving into a better machine on hillsides.
Yeah, definitely. I think, one of the biggest challenges is trying to have a mower that can also do hillsides too, and not just something that's totally flat, because everybody's property isn't totally flat. So yeah, they've experimented with several different tires, and it seems like these more knobby tires are what they're going to continue to go with in the future. But the really cool thing about Segway Navimow, and one of the things that caused me to come over here, was they have the resources to be able to make those changes. So if they see that maybe those tires aren't doing the best after a month or two, they understand that and are able to put the research into coming out with something that's better. But right now, I think the knobby tires are really the best solution. Yeah.
To your advantage, the Segway personal transportation side of your business is all platforms run on tires. So when I did my research, that's one of the things I noticed. You guys were ahead of the curve with the ability to adapt to better tires or better wheels, whatever you want to call them, to actually enhance your product.
Yeah. So basically there's Segway 9bot, and then you've got all the parent companies under it, the Power Sports, you've got the Segway that you traditionally ride on, then you've got Navimow, and then you've got the e-bikes. So yeah, I mean, I feel like they probably have a lot of research and R&D in the tires. So yeah. Hopefully I answered your question there. Yeah.
Any more questions for Andrew? He'll be around all afternoon, so please, anything product related or company, please let him know. So, thank you. All right, so now I'm going to invite up Mike Baum from Broadner and Daryl Rule from Rules Repair. I'm gonna softball them some questions here. But I'd really like for everyone to think of, a question or two. So I just had there you go. Think of a question or two. These are going to be your best resources if you're interested in this product, if you're interested in learning more, and they'll be here this afternoon. So thank you guys for making the trip. And I'll just give you guys these microphones. They don't actually, they're just for the camera, for the YouTube. So thank you. So, like I said, I'm just going to give them some easy ones, but think about a question. Hey, how do I adapt this to my dealership? How am I making money on the install, on the service fees, on the extended warranty? These two gentlemen have had some creative ways to really get this going. So Mike, why don't you go first? Why don't you just tell us about your dealership and a little background, where you're from?
Sure. My name is Mike Baum. I'm from Rochester, New York. I have a family business named Broadner Equipment that has been in the industry for over 60 years now. We are a residential and commercial landscape company dealer. So we are not a landscape company. We are actually a dealer. We are Exmark. We are Mean Green. We're Stinger, Billy Goat, Aaron's, Honda. And I've been a Husqvarna dealer since '91. I adopted autonomous mowing in 2016 when they first came over. We were also a Crest dealer as well. And then we became Segway Navimow last year. So this is my second full year with Segway. I've been in on the ground floor on a lot of it. I've done a lot of product testing for Husqvarna, a lot of product testing and development for Crest, And I was part of the X4 development crew last year for Segway and the H220 LiDAR machine as well. So I'm here to answer questions and go from there.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Daryl?
I don't think I have such a pedigree, but we'll go ahead. So my brother and I, about 10 years ago, we were buying and selling used lawnmowers on the side, and it turned into a business of what we have today. We still do a lot of that. That's a niche business we have, is used equipment, bringing it in, refurbing them, selling them. We are in a very saturated market where we're at. We're from Elizabethtown, Pennsylvania. There's dealers that have been doing this for way longer than we have. And so we have kind of decided to try to keep niche markets as our business model. So we have adopted a lot of the battery powered market as well as robotics. I would have gotten my first introduction to robots back about the 16, 17 neighborhood, and worked a lot with Husqvarna. Then we ended up taking on another brand in our dealership that was a complete flop several years ago. So we were a little hesitant, and maybe we'll get into that more later, but we were a little hesitant to bring on another brand. We were very careful and cautious in bringing on Segway. We've had them now a little over a year. So that's a little bit of our business model. We are definitely pushing the robotics and battery equipment. There's definitely, that curve has not really went up yet, but it is right next door to it. So.
Thank you. Yeah, so kind of two different angles, a traditional OPE dealership and from a repair to now operating in a niche market in a very crowded space in greater Lancaster, Harrisburg. So thank you guys. So it kind of covers some of these, but you've both been in the robotic space for about 10 years, doing Segway a little bit over a year or so, right?
Yep.
So what made you get interested in this category in general? Like, how did this start, or how'd you start, Nate?
Good.
Yeah, 10 years ago, there was a local business, that local hardware store that was selling Husqvarna, and they lost their mechanic, and they didn't really want to hire somebody. They came to our dealership and said, "Hey, will you guys do all of our repair work?" We're like, "Yeah." And they're like, "By the way, we're doing these robots. You want to do all those for us too?" And we're like, "Well, okay, we're young guys. This looks kind of interesting." And very quickly, it was like, "Yeah, this is a market that we need to be paying attention to." So we dove in with them, doing installations, repair, doing some sales work with them as well. And yeah, it's exploded ever since.
So same thing, 2016 is when Husqvarna brought robotics to North America. I happened to be out of town, and my father, who's been the sole owner of the company since 1973, went to the Husqvarna meeting instead of me, and he came back and said, "We're selling robots now." So I had no idea what it was, but he was excited about getting four and buying four and getting one free, and we could set it up at the store, and it kind of fell on my shoulders. I'd been in the furniture industry for 10 years doing something different. I had just moved back home. So I kind of went from there, and we did a couple shows and had some growing pains at the beginning. And now it's just over the 10 years for us, it's just exploded. So it was just kind of by chance, and it's worked out pretty well.
Yeah, we're all sort of here by chance. In a way. All right, so kind of getting into the, I wanted to give these guys sort of an overview of how you sell the equipment, right? Like,
Sure.
So someone comes in and they're interested, how do you sort of size up a customer, recommend something, or what's your kind of, sales process in talking to people,
Sure. One of the aspects of this is, and I don't know if now's the time to say it, but I would recommend, if you're thinking about bringing on a robot brand like this, I would pick at least one of your team members to really just go full into learning about it, to selling them, and to installing them. Installing them is going to teach you a lot about how to sell them. Understanding the properties, understanding what these machines are capable of, understanding their issue points, where we typically are going to have problems and issues, will teach you the right questions to ask. So you need to ask good questions as you're having the conversations with people about robots. Our business, we don't actually have a lot of people coming to us saying, "I've done all the research. I want this model. Sell it to me." A lot of people are coming and saying, "Hey, robots, we're interested. Tell us more." And we have to walk them through the whole process. Or we have started, it's becoming such a good option for people. Somebody comes to us, "Hey, we want to buy a new lawnmower." It's like, "Are you sure you want to buy a regular lawnmower?" you should consider a robot. Oh, we never heard of it. Tell us more. So there's a lot of education that has to happen. And you're going to be able to do that better if you are experiencing yourself the installation, the sales, all that stuff. So kind of depends on your business model, but I've seen that to work the best in my experience. So getting out there, getting them installed yourself, and it's going to take you probably 15, 20, 30 robots till you're really at a spot where you understand the product and can be confident when you sell it. Ask good questions. You want to find out, property size. We use Google Maps quite a bit. So it's one of the first things we're going to do is we're going to pull up their address. We're going to look at Google Maps from an aerial view. We're going to use street view. It's really nice to be able to do that on the phone or at the front counter there with them and just talk about the property. If you don't have to drive out to the property, it's going to save you a lot of time and money. And as you sell more robots, install more robots, get more experience, you're able to do that pretty safely. So we would use Google Maps a lot, do a lot of mapping to see what size the property actually is. Yeah, that's kind of how we would recommend to people what to do. Now, he may have a totally different way of approaching it, but that's generally been what sometimes it's like, this is going to be a complex situation. We need to stop in on site and take a look at this and see, is this actually feasible or is it not?
You find it online and you're like,
Right. We have this conversation. It's like, hey, just based off a couple things you said here, we need to get on site and take a look at this.
Yeah.
But we like to avoid that if we can, just because of the time.
The biggest thing is it's not going to work for everybody. So you don't want to go in with the mentality that everybody that walks through the door needs a robotic mower and it's going to work. That's only going to set yourself up to fail. If you have that thinking that all I'm selling is robotic mowers, you got to realize that it's not for everybody. I mean, as a dealership, we're selling against ourselves. Everybody is. We carry three different lines of zero turns, 3 different lines of tractor. Well, not anymore. 1 tractor, 1 rotary. But, for years, we've been selling against ourselves anyways. Why would I buy an Exmark? Why would I buy a Husky? Why would I buy a Ferris? Why would I buy a Mean Green? Robotics is the same thing. You do have to have the knowledge. But when somebody walks into your store, if you're going to be selling robotics, they need to see the robots on the floor. They need to see the robots in the yard working. You can't just have boxes sitting there. And that was a downfall 10 years ago, is people just had boxes sitting there and said, yeah, we have robots. Can you tell me about them? Well, not really. It's a lot of work, but I got the zero turn over here that you can have. So that was a lot of the failures, because going out and installing a wired unit was a process. It was labor intensive. It was time sensitive. If you didn't get it done right, you were going back to the property and making corrections. The way that everything is transformed, I would even say within the last 3 years from 10 years ago, is night and day. Anybody that dealt with this in 2016, 17, 18, that is long gone. That's like 50 years ago in this industry. This is moving so fast that everything's coming so quickly. What happened was everybody said, no, I tried it. It didn't work. So what did Segway do? What did Sunseeker do? They said, well, we better make them so people can install them themselves, because we're not having dealers that are going out and installing them. So we need to make it so people can open up the box and set it up. The benefit to the dealer is now I can sell a robot and I don't have to spend 2 hours, 3 hours with them, and they can go install it. I'm still the expert. They'll still come back to me, ask questions, use me they'll still call me for service calls and stuff like that. But I didn't have to make it a 5 to 6 hour process with this sale. The other benefit is they're willing to pay you to come out and install it. Again, I'm not taking a trailer with a wire machine. I have 2 phones now, because if one dies, I got to have another phone to map. It's a lot easier than hauling 2 wire machines out to other property. So in selling it, you just need to make sure you're confident in the product, and you need to make sure that you're showing them that you have it. If they see 2 robots on the floor, they know you're not going to be invested. As long as they come in and see the product and you can talk about the products, they're gonna fall right in.
One thing I should say with that too, a big thing with this whole robot thing is you're not going to use your traditional sales approach. You're not going to think about this in a traditional cutting grass approach. It is a completely new way of thinking about cutting grass. So it takes a different set of education skills for your sales team and you guys as you're selling them. And it's a different conversation that you're going to have with the customer too. So many simple little questions. We always get the question, how much area can this thing mow on a charge? That's an irrelevant question to this discussion. It's a robot. It automatically charges. But we get that question all the time. that gives you a clue. Hey, there's education that needs to happen here. We need to educate them. This thing's fully autonomous. Doesn't matter how much it mows on the charge. It's going to get your grass cut. Another question that we would get quite a bit is, how often, like, will this go out once a week to cut my grass, and how long will it take to cut it? Again, that's the wrong question. This is not a once a week mower, and it doesn't matter how long it takes to cut your grass. It's going to get it done as long as it's sized to the correct size robot to the property. So
I think we need to change the terminology from a grass cutter to a maintainer.
Correct.
yes,
Yep.
right.
That's what you use. That's what you tell them. We're just maintaining the
It
lawn.
works every day.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Never gets sick.
Yep.
So you
Never
need
calls
to,
in.
You need to take a different approach as you're having these conversations, which again comes back to education.
Teddy brought up a good point, and we talked about it in the sales group. It's technology that's maintaining turf, and you have to keep that in your mind, that that is what you're selling, technology to maintain turf.
Yep.
Total different angle.
Yep. So just for reference, you guys do have programs with all the pricing and everything, but Mike and Dale brought up some nice points about, installation and charging and things like that. Do you guys want to talk about how you charge for installation, or how you kind of build that into your business model and what that looks like?
Sure. So we've been with Segway here about a year, and last year we really did not push the brand at all. We wanted to do our own experimenting, wanted to do our own testing. So I say that to say we are still developing our pricing and where we need to be at. I'm going to say on the low end of things, we're going to be at $300 range to go out and set up the robot. On a bigger property, more complex installation, we might be $500, $600, $700. Kind of depends on the situation. A good way, I think, to figure this would be to think about, what is your shop labor rate, and how long is it going to take you from when you get everything together at the shop and leave to when you get back? Kind of take that hour, how many hours you have there. Hey, what are you getting in your shop? You at least want to be getting that kind of money. You probably should even be getting more than that to do the installation. So kind of depends on you and your area and what you're getting price-wise for your labor rate. But that's just that would be a good rule of thumb to go by. I think we're probably a little bit on the low side on our installation prices.
Yeah, it's going to vary by location, but I typically won't leave the store for an install under $400 is where we start. And a lot of it now, like I said, is a lot less labor intensive. When I was selling wired units, my install started at $700 on a single unit, and they could run all the way up to $1,500 depending on the size of the property. Now, $400 is a 1 hour job for me at this point. I let the customer know that up front, that this is not going to be, I'm not going to be at your house for 3 hours. This is me coming in, getting it installed, getting it on your phone, going over all adjustments that you can make on your phone, making them understand that this is their robot. I'm not a landscaper. This is your lawnmower. This is your maintainer. This is your robot. And I want them to be comfortable when I leave, that they can make any adjustments that they need. I do also include, everybody's actually got my phone, so they can get a hold of me if they have any questions, any issues, stuff like that. But as far as installs go, yes, you want to go off your labor rate, but you want to let them know that you're the expert in this area, that as you do more, you've seen it all. So it makes it a lot easier to answer any of the questions they have. As far as other stuff, I offer a winter storage program. We're in upstate New York. We get a lot of snow. I offer 2 versions of it. For $150, they can drop off the mower. I will clean it, install new blades. Back in the day, I used to have to plug them in to update the firmware, but I will update the firmware if there are any updates over the winter, and then it'll stay inside a temperature-controlled room for the remainder of the winter, and they can come pick it up in the spring. We also offer a full-service one. For $400, we will pick it up in the fall, bring it to a store. We'll leave the base and everything right there at their house. Do the same thing, clean it, install the blades, and have it ready for the spring, and then we'll return it in the spring. Last year, I stored just over 300 robots, and I kind of capped it at that because of the storage space that I had. This year, we'll probably open it up to about another 100 and do 400 of them. And then on top of that, we offer a extended warranty program. So for years, everything was a 2-year warranty. Our extended warranty would cover it out to 4 years. Now with batteries being, on the X4, it's a 2-year warranty on the machine, 3 years on the battery. We're covering 4 years on the machine and then 5 years on the battery as well. I've had great success with that. It's an investment. It's a tech piece. So people are concerned about it. It alleviates the pressure of them wondering if I have to replace this battery in 4 or 5 years, it'll cover. I will tell you now, I'm sure people are going to see this, but selling them for 10 years, I have yet to really have to replace a battery within 5 years. If I do, it was probably under the warranty at the original time anyways. It wasn't in year 5 it failed. If it failed, it would have been year 1 or 2 because there was a defect. So don't think that you're going to lose your shorts in it. If you were, I wouldn't do it. But that's been great for me as well. And then it does open up other opportunities to offer a full service landscape with it. Buy the robot and we can do bi-weekly trimming, mowing. With the volume I'm doing now, I don't have the time for that. I've got 2 part-time installers on top of myself, and we still are 2 weeks behind at this point. So, but there are plenty of opportunities to find more dollars out there. It's however you want to create the business, you can. This being my 10th year, we actually created an offshoot, a DBA, so it's still Brodner Equipment, but it's Baum's Autonomous Mowing. We're kind of separating it now because we're looking at it doing about 25 to 30% of the volume of our store. And we're a pretty large store. So for robotics to take about 25, 30% of the margin from my store, it's quite a bit. And it opportunities out there.
Yeah. Question for you.
Yeah.
So you invite them to call your cell phone at any time.
Text it anytime they want.
How a percentage of your customers constantly take advantage of that?
Nobody takes advantage of it. But I'll probably get maybe between 10 to 15 texts a day. But they're not calling me.
Is there a small group of people we would say that constantly call you?
Out of the 1,300 robots that I maintain, there's a couple, but there's also some that I've built relationships with too. So there'll be ones that are congratulating me on seeing something with my kids, or I've got customers that are going to be at my daughter's graduation party. She's graduating from high school this year. But nobody that just completely does.
Doesn't take you that long to tell them the answer.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, again, once you learn, I mean, it's no different than what you're a master at your store. If you're the guy that's always fixing rotaries, you know what that click is. You know what that noise is. You've seen it 1,000 times. I'm at that point now with the robots that it's going to be quick, and it's not anything that I need to charge them for. If it is a major problem, then yes. The nice thing with a robot, anybody can put it in their car and bring it to you. They don't need a truck. They don't need a trailer. They don't need to call their buddy and have them bring the machine to you. Anybody can pick this up. Grandma can pick it up and put it in her car.
It's your opportunity to become a hero.
Yeah, it's easy. I mean, it's not. My wife doesn't like it. Sometimes she's like, "Who's texting you at 8 o'clock at night?" But it's never anybody expecting a response. Anytime I get those, it's something they saw a Sabres game and they knew I was at the game. Yeah, it's all it is. So yeah, it's a people business. Again, it really is. I mean, that's how our dealership grew when it was just Brodner Equipment selling lawnmowers. And I mean, people didn't, they have so many options out there that they could go to. We didn't grow it by just taking care of everybody else. We were invested in our customers, and we're still that way, even with the robots.
So as you guys go through, is another question?
Yeah, what kind of service and part replacements are you seeing that stuff?
So honestly, on the Segway, I haven't had many issues. I did 54 units last year as my first year with Segway. We've already got 68 out into the field right now. Starting April 2nd is when we started installing. Of the 68, I had a couple connection issues, which they're working on, that's an easy thing. I've had one unit that wouldn't charge, and it was simply a cable was loose. On Husqvarna stuff that I dealt with in the past, it would be wheel motors, it would be power supplies. I'm sure with Segway, when I get 2, 3, 4 years in, power supplies are going to be an issue, just because it's a cell phone charger. It's literally a brick that sits outside and takes a charge. They're going to fail. But that's a simple one. I'm sure we're going to get some cutting motor issues. I've dealt with that in the past. Boards, everything seems to be sealed pretty well, whether it is even the newer Huskies and the Segways. So I'm not getting much corrosion issues like that on the inside, especially with the IPX rating on them now. So that eliminates some of the issues that I used to deal with, 8, 9 years ago. But some of the cutting motor stuff that I used to see, and I'm sure I'll see, is more user error. big sticks that were down, stuff like that, where they get stuck in there. So it's not a mechanical failure. It's just like anybody, you know, throwing a belt on a mower or something like that.
There are a lot of service or warranty issues or?
No, so I had my first X4 series come back here. I think it's got a rear axle issue. I haven't had time to look at it yet, but that's been the first one out of 75 or 80 machines here so far. And in Husqvarna, when I was back working with them, I mean, in that we would have had 6-8 times that amount of repair work. So already the Segway is significantly better as far as repairs go. They're just very well built machines.
Don't get me wrong, I like repairs too. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, and here's the other thing too, not to give everything away, but my labor rate for robotic mowers is $175 an hour. Our shop labor rate on Exmark sorry, I keep saying Exmark, but on our commercial mowers is $150. So I'm charging more for my robotic mowers. My service calls are $175 as well. So if I do come out for a service call, and I let my customers know that includes a half hour. So the $175, I bill it as an hour, half hour to get there, half hour to get back. You have me for a half hour. So I let them know if they want me to adjust something on there, taking care of the problem, if it's in that time. And if they need me longer, I just bill longer. So, but you can. Our mean green is actually falls in to our robotics. We call it's a different labor rate, but we have $175, you know, for mean green and for robotics. So don't be afraid to charge more. Nobody else is doing it. And that's what is separate than the online retailers, whether it's Lowe's, whether it's Navimow.com, whether, you know, we can offer that. They can't. Yeah.
So do you service or install for people who buy it at Lowe's?
No, and I won't. I will let them know I take care of my customers first. I will do their warranty work, but it'll be 8 to 12 weeks before I get to it. So, sorry. I did the same thing with Honda. I did the same thing with Aaron's. It's no different, you know. Now, if you have to return it and I also let them know, if they buy it from Segway and if it's damaged in the box, same thing, 8 to 12 weeks, or you can, you know, return and figure out what you have to do. But my goal is to have a volume and do 300 mowers myself. I can't, you can't use me to take care of that. I have to take care of my customers first. So yes, I'm never going to turn them away and say no, but I will let them know 8 to 12 weeks. When we get into July, I'm sure I can help you then because it's going to slow down a little bit.
Awesome. So, and then, you know, Mike, something you said to me as we got started, like, you know, with your winterization packages and your installs, you know, that was something you kind of built up over time as far as your own capacity and what you're charging, you know. Any 2 cents about that, like how you kind of think about that, right? You only have so much time. What can you afford to charge? Or
yeah, I mean, it really in the OPE industry. I mean, 60% of our business is done pretty much from March 1st till the end of June. I mean, I sell snow blowers, but that's not when we're making our money. So I really have to capitalize on those months, but then I need to find a revenue to come in for the winter months. So, I mean, we sell a lot of snow blowers. We're right on Lake Ontario, but that's not going to keep us going, especially if it doesn't snow. We won't have the snow repair. But my dad started winter storage back in the 80s for our lawnmowers as a way to keep his techs busy throughout the winter and keep them, you know, keep a job for him. So he's been doing that for so long that to me, it seemed natural when I started that we would do it. I mean, I remember the first year I only sold 5 robots. So I remember my first winter storage picture was 3 robots, you know, and now I've got pictures and posts of these racks with 18 on each, and they're on wheels, and I've got 20 plus racks. And the nice thing is you can roll them over and you can work on those 18. You roll them back, put them away. 4 of those racks has the same footprint as one 60-inch zero turn. So I can have 72 mowers that are earning me at a minimum $150, most of them $400, in the spot that one zero turn repair is fixing for the winter. You can't beat that. There's just no way. I mean, we do.
Pictures. I have pictures of the show. It's impressive.
Yeah, and it's just it's a warehouse like this, but it's heated. You know, it's the heated shop. We used to sell Articast snowmobiles back in 2019 when they sold. We kind of got rid of them. Which was great because it doesn't really snow anymore up in New York. So at least enough to ride. So, but that whole the whole area in the back that I use that these pictures are from, that was our snowmobile showroom. Like, and now it is completely taken over with robots, whether it's new ones. My initial order to start was 72 Segways this year. With the 100 Husqvarnas I brought in at least another 65 more Segways. They're all in this room with all of my winter storage, my repairs. I built a little green area so I don't get too much stuff with all the boards and all that stuff in there. So it's,
Why do you keep the mower not in the cold weather?
Yeah,
It's
For the
required.
battery.
for the battery.
The battery.
It's just to keep the life healthy. I mean, it's no different than, yeah, it's no different.
Can you repeat that so we can hear what Teddy
Yeah,
is about?
the question was, is it important to keep the, mowers inside or climate controlled? And yeah, it is for the battery, long-term health.
Yeah.
You don't want these outside.
Yeah, especially in the the winters. I mean, our winters get pretty cold, so you don't want them sitting out. I always make sure that even if I don't pick them up, that the customers know they're bringing in their base station and they're bringing in their mowers for the winter. If your garage is next to it's not super cold garage, you can keep it in there. But yeah, you don't want to leave these out for the winter. So just to keep the batteries healthy.
Thank you. So I wanted to kind of pivot the conversation a little bit. Something that we get asked a lot: are these commercial? Are these residential? Are these commercial? What does that mean, right? So so Daryl, I know you've had a lot of experience with dealing with commercial landscapers that are installing these. Do you want to speak a little bit about like how you see landscapers and maintenance crews using these and some of those customers or some of your experience there?
Yeah, it's a great question. So the landscape market is something that is going to be big with robots. We're already seeing that. We've got a couple landscapers already that have bought in, and we've got a lot more interest. One of my landscape crews, okay, let me back up. One of the things that, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but not to bash landscapers, but they're not the greatest with numbers. And so you need to educate them when it comes to numbers. A lot of our landscapers do not have a clue what their cost per hour to cut grass is. One of my guys has it all detailed out to put a truck and trailer on the road with two guys and a load of mowers and all this stuff. He's at $65+ per hour cost to cut grass. So that means he needs to be charging, $100+ per hour to go out there and mow grass. Most guys aren't charging even close to that. So they're losing money, essentially. Labor is a really big part of that. Machine cost is a really big part of that. That's where robots really do open up a really good opportunity. There again, it's going to take a lot of education. We can't just walk into a landscaper and say, here, this is a different kind of X mark. Go cut grass with it. It doesn't work that way. It takes a whole new set of education to make sure that they understand the concept, to make sure that they understand, hey, we might have to touch these robots more than once a week. Ideally, no, but sticks fall. People come by and mess with it. Little things happen. And when that robot's not mowing, you need, your grass is growing. You need to have that thing going. There's just there's a different mindset that comes behind it. Also, too, like you were saying earlier, that you have to understand that not everything can be mowed with a robot. So a landscaper can't look at this and say, oh, we can just put it on this property. There's going to be no trimming. No mower has to come and, mow the edges. I mean, we don't have to do anything. No, it's not going to work that way. But if we can put it on our big wide open areas, if we can put it on, steep hills, actually homeowners associations are becoming a big one. If we can put it in there and have, sell it to the customer as quiet mowing, we're not using a noisy zero turn every week. Hey, that all saves labor. That's big. That's big in the landscape world. The labor is the biggest issue in the landscape market. So I would say it's something you all should be looking at. But you're going to have to educate your landscapers. They're likely not going to be coming to you saying, we want to start a robotic division of our business. You're going to have to throw it at them. I would say one of the markets you should look at in that is actually the small companies. We had one that he was starting to just buy some, handheld battery powered equipment, kind of an early adopter of some of that stuff. And the one day I'm like, hey, have you considered robots? He's like, what? And so we had a conversation about it. This guy has just bought in hook, line, and sinker. He's an older guy. He was an owner operator. He's like, I was starting to get bored. He wasn't sure what I was going to do for retirement. He literally has this whole plan now where he's going to buy this new Amazon electric pickup. I forget what it's called. And he's going to retire, and he's going to have 50, 60, 70 robots out there. And that's what he's going to do in his retirement, go around and maintain robots and have a business making money in his retirement. It's a beautiful model. So there again, like I said earlier, have one person in your dealership that knows a lot about these things. Take the same approach with the landscapers. Find the smaller companies that want to grow their business but don't want to hire employees. Add robots on, and it can be a really good way to increase their business and set them apart. The whole quiet thing is huge in the landscape business. That's a huge selling point. We're not going to make noise when we cut your grass.
Yeah.
You know,
So,
not to put you on the spot and give away all your tips, but when I asked you, these guys were totally naive. They didn't understand the mindset or how to go about it. How did you get their feet wet? How did you get them an appetite to even try?
Yeah. A lot of it's through demos. So have conversation, start that conversation like I did with this guy. It's like, I think this guy might be a potential candidate. So I just threw the bait out. He was interested. I said, let's put a demo at your house. Why don't you play with it? And we just had, ongoing conversations after that. It's going to take education. You want to make sure that they're going to just go in small at first because it is a totally different model. They're going to have to think differently on how they approach cutting grass every day. So you don't want them to come and say, great idea. I like that you just told me I should start a robotic mowing division. Great idea. I'll buy 50. No, you don't want that. You want to go in slow and make sure you get the education done correctly. Once they have a couple units and learn how this all works and how they can develop a business model around it, then they can scale it up and go. But yeah, you want to take it slow. Demo units is big though, and Segway has some really good programs with giving you demo units. That's a big way to sell robots.
I like to call it proof of concept.
Right.
So Darryl, you never told us the net cost, we know is over $65 for the pickup, trailer, insurance, fuel, that adds up. What did that guy tell you in Navimow for?
So he was trying to tell me it was a couple dollars, and I was questioning him a little bit on that. I was questioning his math on the robot side of things. I want to sit down, and I haven't done this yet, but I would, and if any of you guys are numbers people, this would be something for you to do. A better way to figure this would be, what does it cost per acre to cut grass? Because it's really hard to do a per hour price because this machine's always running. So you can't how do you equate that? So let's figure out a per acre, and at the bottom side, we're going to have to do it in increments, quarter acre, half acre, or 3/4 of an acre. But how much does it cost for a landscaper to come mow your 3/4 of an acre property versus how much is it going to cost to put a robot on that same property? So look at an acreage. I think that's a better way to look at it.
How do landscapers use robotic mowers?
So-
60 yards a week or whatever. How do they incorporate?
so I just got in with a landscaper he's been a fleet customer with us for years. And I set up a mower at his cottage 3 years ago. This year he got an X450 at the cottage and he goes, all right, I got a plan. So what we're doing, I'm actually going back Saturday and we're going to install 2 of his HOAs. Okay. His guys are spending 5 hours a week at the one property and 3 hours a week at the other property. With our math, what we figured out is that they can get into this one property that they're doing and they'll be there less than an hour. And then at the dens, which is the smaller property, he thinks they can be out of there and he can only send one guy over there and he can be out of there in 25 minutes. So he's taking chunks out of his mowing right now to do that. He's also set up 3 houses, 3 different areas, 3 houses that he's got side by side, putting one at the middle, giving them a discount and still keeping the charge the same that they had last year, even with his increases on his other properties that he's doing. He let them stay at the same price as last year as a demo to try to see how that's going to work out for him. And he's buying them on fleet. So he's buying these mowers on fleet as well. So I let him know you're buying them at essentially my cost. So, I'm working hand in hand with him on that. He's actually at our dealership for the last 5 years now. We've taken 3 or 4 fleet customers with us to Louisville to see everything. And when they go to Louisville, guess what they see? They see robots. And these are Exmark fleet customers we're taking. I'm not taking Husky, robot fleet customers. But that's all they're seeing out there now. So the guys that want to get in this for the long haul, that are younger, that aren't looking on their way out, like your gentleman, see that this is what I need to be a part of because this is what the industry is moving towards. So Craig at Seasonals really bought into that. I've got a guy in Syracuse that's about an hour and a half away from me that's been buying Husqvarna robots, and now he's going to be looking at some Segways this year. for the last 5 years. He did the same thing. He's more concentrating on neighborhoods and selling them into those areas because that's what you had to do with the wired units. Now that we have the wireless stuff, he's actually putting them at high-end customers' houses, guys that are willing to pay for it, willing to be the house in the neighborhood that doesn't have the noise that the mower is always cutting, the grass is always short. So that's how Jeff's doing it down in Syracuse. So those are really the only 2 landscapers I have, but I'm into 3 different universities, 2 that have over 30 units on property. RIT was an early adopter, which is Rochester Institute of Technology. Dan King is all in. He's really leading the way. I mean, I've told him before, I said, you've got more than any other, it doesn't matter if it's Michigan State, if it's Auburn, Cornell. I said, RIT's got more robots than anybody in the country right now. And he's all in. We just actually put a Segway out there last week. U of R, seeing what RIT is doing, they got to follow suit. William and Mary in Virginia has flown me down there. I was down there in March checking out their campus. They want me to come down there to put in robots on their campus, who learned about it through Dan at RIT. So they all talk. I'm in 13 different school districts in my area. I'm pretty much doing every interior courtyard at all the middle schools, high schools, and grade schools in Rochester right now. It started with one school, wired unit. People they couldn't bring the gas mowers into the school, so they had to pay somebody overtime. And guess what? When it's May, June, and they've been working winter overtimes, they don't want those summer overtime hours to stay after on the nicest day to cut a courtyard. So it started with Honeoye Falls, and it just grew from there. I've got Rochester City School District with 13 robots that I'm doing their courtyards with, Fairport schools, Churchill Child High schools. So every one of those schools, as soon as one had it, they all talked, and now I'm doing all these courtyards in the schools. Monroe County Water Authority, the X4 is going to be doing a bunch of their, their dams and their, quarries that they have. Factories, I do Barilla Pasta Factory. They learned about it from being in Europe. They came over and like, why are we paying so much for these people to cut our grass? Why don't you have robots? And it's a huge property that had, when I started, we had 18 wired robots maintaining this property, and we're down to 6 wireless robots now, taking care of the whole property. So the industry is changing. It moves. The technology is getting better, and the commercial guys can see it. And it's just an easy way to go.
Just to tag on to that, airports, are they legit, or is it at federal government regulate this machine?
There's really no regulations there. So with Rochester City, with our airport, I'm going to be doing the outside hills that come around to it. So my benefit there is they're right next to the hospital for U of R, that I'm going to be doing everything there. And they came in and said, how are you going to do those hills? And I showed them. So I'm going to be doing everything outside, but I'm not doing anything near the runways or anything in there. I know in Sweden, that's what they've been running. A lot of their big Huskies have been doing. But I am not inside the airport, but I'm outside the airport. So, but yes, that's a lot of grass. And I sat on the runway yesterday looking at it. So I was thinking the same thing, but.
I got some quick hitter questions for you guys, and then I'll open it up for any Q&A. But yeah, how many robots did you do last year, and then what's your goal for this year? Just the general sales.
So we didn't start advertising that we were even selling them. We've been with Segway for over a year. We didn't even start advertising until like June or July because we wanted to test and make sure that this is a good product, that it's a good company that's going to back us up, and that we also know what we're talking about. And until the end of the year, we had 25 or so out. This year already, we're up at 40 to 50 range, and every day we're having conversations. I want to be well over 100 this year. It might even be more than that. Who knows?
All right, awesome, Mike.
So I've got over 1,300 that we're maintaining now. The last 3 years, we've done over 200 each year. We're right at 72 that we've done so far in these first 3 weeks, with a lot more in the fire. My goal this year is to be right in the 350 to 400 range, which will blow away my largest year ever. So.
How would you rate, like selling these mowers as far as margin and, all that compared to, your zero turn? How do you see this business in that regard?
As a general rule of thumb, the robots have had better margins. I feel like in a lot of ways it's going to have to, because there's probably not quite as much after sale income that you can bring in. Now, we can get creative. He has a lot more experience with that. We can get creative and create a lot more revenue building things afterwards. And a lot of the interesting things about the revenue things after the sale is they don't take a lot of labor on our part. And also, like he said, make sure you're charging more to do anything with robots, because it's technology, and make it sound like it's that too. Make it sound like this is something you can't work
Well,
on.
you have to have a laptop. You have to, I mean, you have to have the knowledge,
programs.
right?
Yeah,
It's not that we're charging more because it's technology, but you can't just hire somebody off the street to fix clean a carb and put it out there. You have to have some knowledge with it. The big thing that I do, and when somebody came in before and they'd buy a Honda rotary from me, if they bought a steel deck HRN model, we would tell them it's a 10-year mower. They bought an HRX, we tell them it's a 15 to 20-year mower. I tell everybody right now, 5 to 7 years is going to be your life expectancy of this mower. And I let them know within 4 to 5 years, you're going to want to replace it with whatever the newest is, because it's going to be so much smarter. It's going to be cost effective because it's going to be cheaper, and it's going to do things that you can't believe that it'll do. Because over the last 3 years, every 6 months, something is changing in this industry. You cannot beat the technology. And when you really get in with these customers, I was telling you earlier today, I've had 4 people that I've installed Terranoxes at this year that have bought a mower from me every year for the last 4 years. They had a wired unit 4 years ago. They had a Husqvarna E-Post 3 years ago. 2 years ago, they bought a Segway, and this year they bought a Terranox. Same guys, different people. They don't even talk, but they've all come in and said, I want that now. And they don't even think about it. I've done installs for their kid's house on their wired unit, because I said, well, if you want, I don't want it in trade, but if you want to give it to your kid, yeah, do that. I'll pay you to go install it over there. So now I got paid a second install to install that mower. Same thing happened with the wireless unit. Oh, I'm going to give that one to my mom. All right, perfect. Yeah, just go do it. I'll pay you. So you gotta look at it different than our traditional Honda rotary, your zero turn, your residential tractor, anything like that, because people purchasing this, not all of them, but the majority of them want the newest technology. They want what's coming next, and they're willing to pay for it. So.
Can you answer Mike about trade-ins? Because that's the thing. Some of you were saying, well, what happens 3 years out now that the machine is worth 1/25th of what it was worth new because technology's changing? How do you juggle that?
Oh yeah, I say, how much is your iPhone 5 worth now? How much is your iPhone 8 worth? It doesn't. What's your Dell laptop that you bought 4 years ago for $999? What's that worth now? You can get $50 at a pawn shop for it. It's no different. Unless the machine didn't work for you for those 3 years and you're really upset at it, you're not looking to get rid of it anyways. So trading it in is, well, I'll give it to somebody else now. With a tractor or something like that, people think there's all this value into it because it's a big machine. It's, it's been in the family for 15 years, and, we want to pass it on to my kid. And I tell them, well, you're going to have a $1,500 repair bill to get this thing up and running again. The mower's not going to, the robot that you spent $15.99 or $24.99 isn't going to have that. The biggest thing that I can tell you now is with my wired units, I have a set rate of what my trade-in value is. So anybody that bought a mower from me and it's over 4 years old, I will give them 5% off the purchase of whatever they buy. I say, and I'm going to recycle this. I'm not even going to sell it. But just to give you something, I will give you 5%. So I know I'm taking 5% off my margin of what I'm selling. So I'm not losing anything. I don't have to sell it to make my money back. If it was 2 years ago, okay, I'm going to give them 10%. Well, guess what? 2 years ago, I probably sold 60 wired units. And I tell them, and it says it right on the sheet, if it was a year ago, I'll give you 20%. I think I did 5 wired units last year. So there aren't going to be anybody that's going to really take advantage of that 20% because I don't have them out there. A lot of them now, I'll give them a discount on the install and say, I'll recycle it for you. I say, I'm going to take it apart and sell the wheel motors for parts and go that way. And you can have some type of value in them, but there really isn't. The majority of the people say, go set it up at my kid's house. Or go do this, and then I get a double install out of it. Right. And then once the kid has it for a couple of years, and when I say kid, I'm talking 30, 40-year-old. I'm not talking their 18-year-old kid in an apartment. You know what I mean? And it is. Well, I want what dad has. I'm willing to pay for it now, once they see the technology out there. But yeah, it's such a shift of the steel and the gas and the mowers that I grew up selling before I left to it's a whole different mentality. And you only need one or two people at your store to buy in or to hire them and train them to do it. The best thing is, I mean, I don't want to go off topic, but like everybody in here, whether they know it or not, their local high school or a school around them has a FIRST robotics team, which is a competition that all the high schools do throughout the country. They build a robot in January. They get a program. It was actually founded by Segway's founder, Dean Kamen, which is kind of ironic. But so what they do is the FIRST puts out this template and says, this is what the game is for this year. And all the kids, both my daughters are members. They go in, they build it with a bunch of mentors, and then they have competitions all throughout March and April to qualify to go to Houston for the Worlds. There's over 10,000 teams. I think there's about 5,000 that are active. Okay. And all these kids drive the robot. They have marketing teams. So they do buttons and shirts, and they have scouting teams. They have build teams. They have drive teams. They have pit crews. My daughter's team, I think, has like 50 students from the high school there. So 4 years ago, I had a kid come in that we were going to hire to be our lot boy that was going to take out the trash, break down stuff for mowers, do all that stuff. And he came in, he goes, "What's with the robots?" And I started talking to him, and I found out as a sophomore, he was the lead driver of his robotics team at this Churchill school. I said, "Well, this is what I do." He's like, "Oh, I'd love it. I drive robots for my school." I'm like, "Oh, my daughter's on, the Spencerport team." He's like, "Oh, that's cool." So junior year comes in, and I'm getting pretty busy, and I'm like, "Hey, you want to go install some of these robots with me?" He's like, "Yeah." So he went all in. Kid's 16 now. So I'm like, "All right, well, this is good." I'm like, "You got your license?" He's like, "Yeah, I got it right away." I'm like, "All right, perfect." So this is right when wireless stuff started getting big. He did every one of it. I'd say it was about 40 of them of my wireless installs because I really didn't know what I was even doing yet. And this is the expert. So I have this 16-year-old kid doing all my wireless installs. I'm still taking the wire machine out, doing all my wired units and all that. And Cody's just like, "Oh, this is great. How many more do you got?" I'm like, "You're done?" He's like, "Yeah, it was easy." I'm like, "You're killing me." So last year he's a senior in high school, and I still had him doing all the Huskies. And I'm like, "Man, we got to get somebody else," because now I added 50 new robots through Segway. So on my daughter's team, they were coming back from Houston from the Worlds. And I'm like, "Hey, ask your mentor," who's Zach. He's a 25-year-old teacher, but he's a mentor on their team. I'm like, "Ask if he'd be interested in doing some robotic installs for me." So she's flying back from Houston. She's like, "Zach said he's in." I'm like, "Perfect." So now I built a team. This is all I have that's doing the robots. My dad, my uncle, they're all still at the store, and they actually are selling them now, which is amazing because, they've just learned so much just from being there. But I've got a kid who's a freshman at Clarkson now, who I actually get back May 4th, which I'm super excited about because I used to not get him till June. And then I've got a teacher that's coming in every day since April 2nd. He's been in at 3:00 every day, grabbing 2 Segways and installing them after work. And by about 5:36, he texts me, "I'm done." Comes in. Next day, I have his next 2 ready for him. All these guys came from FIRST Robotics. They're young, they're excited, and they think this is the labor. This is what I have to do for a job. And it's amazing. So you don't have to, it's not going out to find a mechanic. I know how hard that is. Trust me. We could use 3 if anybody's got them. It's not going out to even find a good salesman that knows the industry, because you know how hard that is, even to find somebody that can keep up with the pace. I mean, our pace from April, May, June is just like everybody else's. We're going. And you try to throw somebody into that mix and they don't know anything about the industry. That's tough. This is a completely different animal. I've got an 18-year-old kid and a 25-year-old that are going out installing for me, and they love it. I had to buy the kid a Colorado. We got a Colorado that, I got Cody driving around now, and he can just take him out. He needs a cell phone. That's it. It's great.
I know everyone in this room has had labor issues and finding different people. This does open up a different set of doors, a different pool of candidates. You don't need 5 years mechanic experience or troubleshooting, how to do EFI engines, right? It's a different skill set and one you can probably learn a lot quicker. So, all right, well,
Question from the stream.
We have some activity in the chat. Zach KC4191 says, "Great job, Mike."
Zach. That's Zach. So sure he's not teaching. Tell him to go do that install.
We also have some other positive activity. Two questions. First one is, hello, I live in the southeast, and of course it gets pretty hot down here. How does the line perform in high 90-degree temps and 100% humidity?
Well, I'm in the Northeast, and we get like 5 90-degree days a year, and they work pretty well because we get to go out there. Honestly, I wouldn't really know about the battery temperature stuff like that, but I've been down in Orlando, and I know a couple dealers down in Orlando, and they're really successful. I talk to them quite a bit. The grass situations down there don't seem to be a problem for them down there. So I don't see it really being an issue down there.
Like, the answer to that, do you sell the garage most of the time then, when you're in a condition where you know it's gonna be in the sun 80% of the day? Or
I do. It's really not as much as I do with my other extra stuff. As far as the accessories and stuff like that go, I'm not always looking for that. I let them know that it's an option and that I have them in stock. I'm more, to be honest, keep it away from it, because if you're always saying that it has to be protected and you need a garage over it, they're going to say, well, what if it's out in the rain, or what if it's out in the, and I let them know that some of the best cuts you get is that light drizzle, and this mower is cutting that wet grass, and the stripes that they leave and the look that it has. The way the machines are rated, they don't need that protection. But yes, the UV rays, the sun, stuff like that do it. But if you start really pushing the garage and say, yeah, buy this to try to make an extra $90, you're backtracking on what you sold them on the machine, that it doesn't need to be protected. It works outside. This thing lives outside all summer long. So if you're saying it needs a garage for the 3 hours that it's parked, then you're kind of cutting yourself short. So not to say I don't want to sell accessories, but.
The second question is, could you please reference the wheels and just tell us about the comparison to the ZTR and then the Segway proprietary wheel technology? Well,
yeah, I mean, that was one of the things that drew me last year when I went down to Florida and was talking with Segway about becoming a dealer. We were going through the training, we were breaking everything down, and they showed us the wheel motors, and they actually had the guy from Hawaii that was there. That's the largest transport Segway dealer really in the world. He does all the Hawaii tours on the Segway transport machines. And he said, wow, those are the same wheel motors that they have in the transport vehicles. I'm like, was that good? He goes, we don't replace them. I'm like, really? He goes, yeah. And he actually pulled up on eBay. He goes, look how much they sell for. I'm like, that's crazy. He goes, the exact same wheel motors that are in the transport vehicles is the same technology that they're using in the X300 series, because that's what they were building last year. So I thought that was great. And like I said, I've yet to see a wheel motor go, and I've had wheel motor issues with other brands in the past. So that was a big draw to me. And then, yeah, with the X4, everybody sees it. I mean, the thing turns like a zero turn now. I mean, how can you not see that you're not digging up the grass with the rotations with those wheel motors in the front? I mean, you're going to see more companies come out with it, but Segway's really got it dialed in. And I loved it. The first time I took it out of the box last year, when I had the demo, the pre-production, I was like, this is amazing. Like, this is going to sell. And you can tell you can't keep them in stock, right? I mean, they come in, they go out. So.
Do you mind, can you just reference to the one behind you?
So these right here, those are obviously the new technology that they've pulled in that got your zero turn capabilities in it. And then this would be this wheel motor here that they got on that. That's the same one that they're using on their transport vehicles. So.
And there's one thing of this whole thing that I learned particularly from Daryl, because I saw one of his invoices, kind of by mistake, but ended up in my truck. And then this installation, I just want to hammer on it. It said delivery, setup, and education. It was listed 1, 2, 3. Didn't have any apologies that the price was there, but they were selling 3 components, and the education part is part of that package, and people want that.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you guys are selling, right? That you're selling your time and your knowledge. And I just want to thank these two gentlemen for their time. And I think something that they've done that's so critical is, they're building their own brand as experts in the space. Mike and Daryl have given me so much time on the phone and email teaching me and teaching our company about this product, which is awesome. And smartly, in doing so, they're, building their own brand. So when you guys have questions, when your customers are looking for people, they know that these two are there to support them. And that's what I try to, emphasize to everyone here. It's being that expert will lead to sales and will lead to that growth. So thank you guys so much. Yeah, let's give them a round of applause. So thank you. Thanks, Mike.
No problem.
You there? Yep. So we're gonna just give everybody a break. We have the raffles, so put your raffle tickets in some of the prizes out there. There's more food and drink. And then we're gonna go outside. You can, ask Daryl and Mike a million questions, see the product, drive it. Make sure to download the Segway app so you can understand. And that's it for now. Thank you.
Woo! Matt, do you have an idea how to stay to win, approximately what time we're gonna do this major draw?
I was thinking 4.
4 o'clock, guys.
Well, we'll see how it goes.
You're in the draw.
There's a bucket by each of the raffle prizes out in the area where we had our barbecue. So there's, I think 4 or 5 different buckets out there, and then everybody got a single ticket for the big number when they signed in. So there's 2 tickets. One says keep this ticket, keep that ticket, the other one you put in the bucket. External is only, nobody internal can apply. You win, go to external.